Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Controversy, the Speedcast. I am, of course, your host with the most, Ike Isaacs, and I should say co-host with the most. And I am, of course, joined with the host of today's show, Salsa of the Shark, the only man that repels even men, women, and children. So let's get into this. How you doing today, Salsa?
I was doing great before I came here.
You're like doing good until I joined the call today. Oh Lord. So let's go ahead and just kind of jump right into it. First and foremost, thanks everyone out there for the almost 500 subscribers on our channel. We are currently at 461 subscribers as of the recording of this. So thank you so much, everyone out there. We have decided to make a Discord that will be going live the same day that this podcast goes live, which is on Wednesday. You can see the link in the description down below. Feel free to join. It'll be a lot of fun. A lot of people get in there. We can have a lot of fun. Just have a good time. Small update. Since we have gained so many subscribers, me and Salsa are going to do our, basically our 100, 200, 300, 400 subscribers video. In November, we're going to be together. So we're going to kind of do like a sort of Q&A type deal. So I want to go ahead and throw it out there right now. Ask questions in the comments or on the Discord. We have a specific channel for that. So ask any questions that you want answered by myself or Salsa. And I'll continue to remind people until it's time to do that because I only have a few questions. Trying to think of anything else I need to get out there right now before we jump into the actual podcast part. Good Lord. Oh, follow us on social media. We have someone who's handling our social media accounts. So that way we can get more engagements. So definitely, if you haven't already, follow us on Facebook, Twitter. Salsa and I also have Twitter. I have TikTok. Salsa has Twitch, all that good stuff. So anyhow, before you get into the podcast, anything else you want to throw at them real quick, Salsa, before I move on?
Let's just see. Clarification. The Geek-Stew, Twitter, I don't know, whatever other Geek-Stew social media is out there. That's what's being ran by someone else. I am still within full control of my Twitter account, and I will remain in control until I am eventually 5150'd, at which point I will be locked away against my will.
Right. So just for clarification, Salsa is still in control of his Twitter. Only the Geek-Stew Twitters are currently being helped with. So not Salsa's Twitter or Facebook. He's like, until I become 5150 and institutionalized.
Those are the rules and conditions.
Those are the rules and conditions. True. Lordy.
I do have a TikTok account, but it's not linked to my name or anything. It's like generic throwaway account or something.
Right. I was going
I
to say,
literally, at this point, I only use it because you keep sending me fucking TikTok, and I have to be able to view it because the web browser version sucks. In fact, there was one time you sent me a video, and I didn't have the app, so I opened it. It opened in Google, and then it showed me the completely wrong video. So then I came back and I'm like, man, that part about X was pretty funny. You're like, X? What the fuck is X? The video was about Y. I'm like, let me try that again.
Jesus. Yeah, so if you just get the app. I mean, obviously I know that you don't want that on your phone or whatever because you're stupid, but the app is surprisingly user friendly for simply watching,
Yeah, it's real user friendly, real friendly with the data of yours that it's stealing and sending back to China.
True.
That and,
Yeah.
it's kind of cringy to be the guy who unironically uses TikTok.
Hey, TikTok can be fun on occasion. But yeah, so anyhow, let's get right into the podcast. We talked a lot about all the other bullshit, so oh Lord. Well, first and foremost, I just want to give everybody a small update. My job, God, they're trying to get me to come back in office. I don't know if it's on Salsa this, but they've been trying to get me back to come in office. And today I'm gonna have to talk to like one of my bosses or something like that, or tomorrow probably. But basically, I don't want to go back to office because COVID's still a thing, and Like they want us to like they're like hiring new people, and so like when you hire new people, like if it were me, you would train them on how to use because we have a chat, so you can log into the chat, ask questions, all that good stuff. So, but what they do for new people is the new people just raise their hands and you go over to their desk. And I'm like, bro, that's like a COVID risk. It's a fucking hazard, dude.
It's like, yeah, if a new guy that you're training raises their hand, we need you to go over there and communally cough into each other's faces, as is traditional. Maybe slop some saliva while you're at it.
I mean, essentially, dude. I mean, that's essentially what they're asking me to do. Obviously, they're not actually asking me to do that before anybody gets pissed off and like, oh, I'm gonna have to go figure out where he works and complain. No, it's just the environment that they want me to do. I'm not like digging it because like that's what they're like. You need to go over to their desks and stuff, and I'm like, but like I'm not gonna do that. If you bring me if you bring me back to office, I'm not going to anybody's desk. They'll just fucking sit there, dude. Like at this point, I don't really care. Um, they can just sit there and do nothing for all I care. They can have their hand raised for an hour. I'm not going to go over their desk. If they can't function and put words into chat, then I'm not going to waste my time on them. Like we literally have like a multi-million dollar or multi-billion dollar company probably that has probably put millions of dollars into like our chats and stuff like that to try and make them functional. And like they're not even going to make people use them. Like what the fuck?
Ain't that just corporate for you?
It really is.
Give
But
you
yeah,
the tools and then tell you to go fuck yourself for trying to use them.
exactly, dude. That's exactly what they're doing. But is what it is. Um, let's see. What else was I going to mention? Oh, so before we're going to go ahead and do this because like someone commented on one of our videos. They actually asked us a question to talk about on the next podcast, I think. But they said it was Bruce Archer. But for some reason, his comment got removed. Bruce, if you're out there and you're listening, I didn't remove your comment, bro. I think YouTube did. I don't know why, but his comment is as follows. I genuinely believe that the Divorced Women's Club from Jerry Maguire would like you guys. What are some funny moments you've had at work? Um,
All right, so
so
I'm gonna need some clarification as to what the fuck that means.
yeah, I don't know, man. I don't
Funny
know
enough,
who.
I've never watched Jerry Maguire, so
Neither have I. I've seen so many movies, but like I've never seen Jerry Maguire out of all those. But
quick, get on the internet machine and Google Divorced Women's Club.
I'll look it up. But while I'm doing that, so for people who don't know, Salsa is horribly unemployed at the moment. So,
All right,
uh,
so you look that up, I'll explain. what what happened was I moved. Originally, I was working building engines, I think. I don't know. Literally, my entire job was to take 500-pound engines and just roll them. Heavy lifting, whatever. It paid like 15 an hour. It was enough to live on. Whatever. Point is, fucked up, broke my wrist, hurt my leg. Went into this weird program where they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll pay you disability, but you only get the money if you come and sit in an office for 8 hours a day and do jack all." So I was like, fine, I'll do that. So I sit in an office 8 hours a day for a few months while I'm recovering. And right as I'm getting my cast off and I'm about ready to get back into working, I fucking move. So, and the worst part is, this was October of 2019, I believe,
yep, it was.
right when the pandemic was about to kick off. So I move into a new town right as a deadly disease is moving into America. And I'm just like, hey, you know what? This will blow over quickly, so I'm just gonna stay here because, you know, I am at risk. Some people I've lived with are very at risk. So I'm like, I'll just go without for a few months. No big deal. Here we are, two years later,
Almost 2 years
and
later.
yeah, it's not gotten better. It's gotten significantly worse over time. And
You're like, it's gotten significantly worse.
I mean, it could be worse, maybe tomorrow. the devil comes back and ignites the holy war that's supposed to end all of time. Probably not going to happen, you know.
You're
So,
like, one can hope, but
hey, anything to brighten up these boring days. But
yeah.
so I decided I'm going to go back, finish my degree. Cool, whatever, no big deal. Still waiting to do that though because, you know, times being as they are, it's kind of weird with college because some of them are like, yeah, you're going to pay full tuition, but we're not going to let you even see the campus. So go fuck yourself.
Right.
And it's like, why am I paying full tuition then if I can't come to the class? Shouldn't I get like, I don't know, at least a 10% off since literally all of it is you just sending me emails telling me to do jack shit?
I was gonna say it's like, you say like, can I get 10% off like it's a fucking Burger King coupon or something?
About to roll up to my college and ask for that BOGO semester.
I mean, true. Honestly, the thing that like really just like that kills me is that like we like schools, don't get me wrong, like colleges are like crazy right now. But I think the biggest thing that I've seen right now that people like, I don't want to say that people like don't understand, but like the biggest issue that like I feel like people aren't understanding right now is like we've lived so long without like student loans and stuff like that. Like we just need to get rid of them, bro.
I agree. I think that there's no excuse to not have a free, paid for government option for college
Yeah,
because it's a proven fact. According to the United Nations list of human rights, a right to an education is a human right. Yet you can't access education unless you are basically affluently wealthy, you
yeah,
know? Like literally, as we all know, minimum wage has not increased to match, you know, inflation. Even if it was, it would never match the inflation of college rates.
exactly.
College in the last like 60 years, I think, has increased exponentially. It's literally, we're talking like 500 times, no, not times, percent more expensive than it was 60 years ago. And you're not getting anything different. You're literally still getting someone who just sits there and, you know, explains, you know, I don't know, bugs you. I don't know what it is normal people study in college. Literally all I
Yeah.
studied was how to be a better student and math for some reason.
I was I was gonna say I guess it depends on what you're studying, but and it's just honestly it's wild to me that, people are so against it. And like I think the issue people have, and it's so selfish, but they're like, but like I had to pay off my student loans. The fact that you paid off your student loans means that in some way, shape, or form you were able to afford it. Like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be an asshole, but if you're able to pay off your student loans, then you don't worry about money. Like I have a college education, and like obviously I'm gonna like break the kayfabe, if you will, for those who like wrestling. I'm gonna break the mirage, if you will. But it's like I make $40,000 a year, right? And like that's barely cutting it in most states. I mean, I don't live in Nebraska where 40,000 is like the equivalent of 80,000.
In
I
fact, I want to
good.
say that's if you're going by the average, 33,000 is literally poverty. So you're
Yeah,
$7,000 above poverty.
exactly. And and there's obviously a much larger conversation to be had about how we need to be taxing people who make a lot of money, how you and I don't make that much money as it is, and the amount of money that we're taxed is quite frankly criminal. And
Oh, you want to hear some real jack shit about taxes? Guess what I just found out about the state I'm living in?
what's that?
I thought it was weird when I moved here that all of the liquor stores in the state are predominantly one brand, ABC.
Yeah,
I'm like, huh, that's weird. Come to find out, it's because those liquor stores are essentially government, you know, fronts where any excess profit they make goes into the public education fund in the state. Sounds cool, right?
Yeah, I mean, in theory.
It's not additive, though. However much they put in gets removed.
Oh,
So literally,
what?
the education system does not come out on top. Any, like, let's say they get $10 million from ABC Liquor. Instead of that being 10 million surplus on top of their funding, then $10 million gets removed from their government funding. So no matter what, they still make the same amount in funding, just now part of it is because of liquor sales.
Okay. That sounds back ass words, but okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's literally just their way of being able to give less money to school and education because this state historically Republican led, so you obviously know that's basically means that education has not been funded properly in some time. Not to diss on the Republicans, but historically.
I was gonna say coming from a empirical data point, yeah, they're not typically well funded in Republican states. That's why
And as it
states
turns
like
out,
oh go ahead.
it's not just the liquor either. It's also the lottery. I always thought it was weird. Every time I saw a lottery machine, it says North Carolina educational lottery. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? It's the same thing. The profit they make from that goes into the education system, but it's not additive. So literally,
Basically, so basically, what it is that the school systems get, let's say, obviously this is just it's very simplified. So let's say the school systems get $100 for their budget. Let's say the liquor company and or the liquor sales and the fucking lottery sales equal up to $80. So they're still getting $100. Just 80 of it comes from outside sources, and 20 of it comes from the government, basically.
exactly. And the reason for it is because looking back at the history of North Carolina, what they've been doing is they keep implementing tax cuts on the rich. So they found a way to basically tax poor people without poor people knowing. Because as you know, the lottery and liquor are predominantly poor people. Yeah,
Yeah.
rich people drink, and I'm sure some rich people buy lottery tickets, but predominantly it's poor people, oppressed people who are buying lottery tickets and cheap booze. So they found a way to tax the poor people even more than they're already taxing them, so that at the end of the day, they have to fund education even less and then give the tax cuts to the rich who are already not getting huge tax anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get too far on this subject because I could literally go for days. But it's like, why do rich people need tax cuts? Like, that's one of the things that like I never understood. No one can provide me a legitimate reason why a rich person needs the amount of tax breaks and tax cuts that they get. They
I mean, I can
always,
give you a reason. It's not a
I mean, they
good
want
reason because we proved trickle down economics doesn't work, but
trickle down economics
is
only works. It works if they're actively putting it back into their employees, but they're not.
it works in a vacuum, but unfortunately we don't live in a vacuum. That would be very noisy.
The thing that always kills me is that like nobody can provide me a good reason why the rich need the tax breaks that they get. Oh, they're creating jobs and they're thriving the economy. Look, bro, Jeff Bezos makes more money than I could ever possibly imagine making. Like
In a
there,
day.
what'd you say? Oh, a day, yeah. Every single day, every hour, he makes more money than I will most likely make in my lifetime. And here, the thing that people don't understand is that no one should have that amount of money. All right, like no one works for that amount of money. Did he make Amazon? Sure. Did he maybe put in the grunt work and everything else? Maybe. But at the end of the day, he made his money off the backs of people that were subjugated to poverty wages, people who were stepped on. Like, he didn't make that money. It was made through exploitation. And I don't care who you are or what your opinions are, that's a fact. All right? The rich exploit the working class. Very few of them actually work for their money. They're either born with the money, given the money because of some arrangement, or if they did work for their money, they stopped working for their money years ago.
I'll say, as an American, I think it is well within your rights to have hundreds of billions of dollars, but at the same time, I think a better system would be what they use in Mario Kart, basically, where if you're in first place, any pickup you get is not going to be like a blue shell.
Right.
Instead you'll get like a banana or something, because you don't need something to help you get even further ahead. You don't need tax cuts and tax write-offs and tax loopholes and shelters. No, you need to pay your fair share. But other than that, as long as you're paying your employees fairly, you're treating them fairly, you're entitled to hundreds of billions of dollars worth of money. I would encourage you to use that money for something better than sending people into space, because I don't know. It's kind of goofy when he sent Shatner into space.
It was.
Good for Shatner. I think Shatner deserved it because, it's Captain Kirk, but then he comes back down and he's trying to talk all philosophical about it's amazing, I've never seen anything like it. And meanwhile, Bezos is over here shaking champagne bottles and offering alcohol to a former alcoholic.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's like you're entitled to the money you produce, but at the same time, you need to pay your fair share. Because by not paying your fair share, you're hurting the people below you. And if you are actively counting on the exploitation of the underprivileged to make your wealth, then you don't deserve the money you've made.
100%. I can't remember who it was, but they wrote it out perfectly. They're like, someone was like, and I'm sure we'll get someone who will probably say some dumb shit. And to that person, I would say, we really don't care. But like, every time someone talks about like taxing like Jeff Bezos, for instance, they're always like, oh, but that's not all money. He doesn't have like trillions of billions of dollars just sitting around. It's in real estate and this, that, and the other. And I just want to be like,
the reason for that is literally so he doesn't have to pay taxes on it.
I was gonna say, because he's usually he's evading taxes. Like, I mean, thanks for proving my point. And then they'll always say, well, if someone wants to work their way around tax laws, then that just makes them smart. And I just want to be like, imagine committing a crime and finding a way to legally justify said crime. Like, realistically, like, I mean, I'm not saying this in the way it's going to sound, but like, imagine that you committed murder and it was a completely wrongful killing, but you somehow found loopholes to get yourself out of jail, and then you just go online and say, I'm sorry, that I'm just smarter than all the other murderers.
Hold on now, that's exactly what OJ did. Don't you remember the book he wrote, If I Did It?
Exactly. He did. You're not wrong. He did do that. But that's a whole nother. That's a whole nother thing. Jesus Christ. OJ's a trip, man. But the point being is that it's still tax fraud. Even if it's legal, it's still tax fraud. I mean, he's still working loopholes and everything else. Just because it's legal doesn't mean that it's right. And it doesn't make him some smart businessman. It just means that he has a bunch of lawyers who sit around and know how to make sure that he doesn't have to pay more money than he wants to, basically.
I mean, I've always said that just because something is a law does not inherently make it ethical or moral. I do think there are certain things that are laws that are ethical or moral, and some people might disagree with me. But when it comes to taxes, it's as simple as the reason you pay taxes is so that we can improve our country, reduce our national debt, and basically create a country that everyone wants to live in. You know, better education so we have better trained people for the future who can lead successful lives and better our country even further. But as it is now, we are barely funding education.
Yeah.
In many states, we don't even fund, like EMTs. That's all privately ran because our fucking government doesn't have the money to fund them.
And here's the part where some edgy libertarians like privatize everything.
Listen, man, a privatized police force sounds cool until you're getting mugged and you call the police and they say, we can't help you unless you have $500 cash up front.
Exactly. Privatize everything, guys. It'll work, I promise.
Like, that's the thing is, any one political system or economical system, really, it works in a vacuum, but in practice, it's too radical. Libertarianism has good points. Like, you should be able to do whatever you want on your property as long as it is not a violation of the law. You should be able to smoke weed, own guns. If you want to shoot a rocket launcher at a cow in your own yard, that is your prerogative. But the whole privatizing police and firefighters and making everything for profit and relying on some unspoken verbal contract, it doesn't work. We need regulation in the marketplace because without regulation, you get what we have now, where fucking Jeff Bezos literally is destroying lives, horribly abusing his employees, making them piss in bottles. And all we can say is, well, shit, that sucks. Find a better job.
And then we get mad when they find a better job.
Exactly. Then it's like, well, my package was a day late. How dare you?
And then we're just like, but they found a better job. They did what you said. Oh my god. I can't even with people. I can't.
Like, I fully agree with the libertarian bodily autonomy thing. Like, hey, I want to, smoke it up in my house and shoot guns. I want to own an M1 Abrams because, God help me, I want to. But I'm not stupid enough to actually believe privatizing shit's gonna, help anyone. I don't want to call the firefighters and be like, yo, my house is burning down. They're like, ooh, we would love to help you. But do you have $2,000? Can you write a check?
We can take your payment by debit or credit over the phone.
Imagine unironically standing there watching your life burn down in front of you and you're just reading off your credit card details to the fire dispatch.
Oh man, cringy. All I can say is that modern libertarians are just edgy capitalists at this point.
Like I said, every economic system has a couple good points. Like, obviously, capitalism got some things right, like the whole you should be allowed to start any business you want, and we shouldn't put too many restrictions on the market. But at the same time, unfettered capitalism led to Jeff Bezos, which is literally worst case scenario.
There's a lot of worst case scenarios happening in this market. But I guess it is what it is. What can we do except for hope for reform at this point?
Well, I mean,
You're like, I'm not saying
by what's happened this last year, government overthrow is not off the table.
I was gonna make a joke. Violently overthrow the government, maybe? Question mark.
I mean, I mean, apparently the repercussions are like 30 days in jail, so
Right, a
you
slap
have
on the
plenty of
wrist.
chances.
I was gonna say, don't get me started on that shit, bro. There's so many people who are so stupid. Anyways, this is gonna be called taxation is theft. Oh man, but
No, we can't use that. That's literally the libertarians, like, sorry, lawbitarians, as they call themselves now.
right. Oh Jesus, hell yeah, we
That's
can't use
literally
that.
their slogan. That and don't tread on me.
Don't tread on me. Don't step on the snake.
Like, hey, I'm all for reducing government overreach, but God, I'll die before I consider myself a libertarian.
Honestly, like the thing that nobody can ever answer, they're like, uh, like, oh hey, what about like public roads? Like they're shitty as they are. Like if we just fucking remove that, it's gonna get even worse.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong.
Like literally, it can get worse. It
Well,
can.
actually, their explanation will be simple. We just privatize the road systems. It's like, no.
Who's gonna
We
pay for that?
I've been on privatized roads, the one where you pay $2 just to drive 10 miles and then pay $2 more at another toll station. Fuck that. Those roads still suck.
Bro,
And
fucking
they're
tolls.
privatized.
Bro, tolls are the fucking scourge of this fucking earth, dude. Let me tell you, I pay taxes. I fucking pay taxes to the fucking IRS. I pay to register my vehicle. I pay for fucking insurance on my vehicle. I pay to maintain and put gas in my vehicle. I pay a
You pay your
monthly.
license.
I pay for my license. I pay for everything else. Now I gotta pay to drive on the fucking roads. What the fuck?
I mean, at some point, there's no way they can justify it, man. Like I said, we do need taxation. But at the same time, I'm literally getting taxed on everything I buy. You know, groceries, fucking appliances, furniture, it's all taxed. But then when it comes to my car, it's like, yeah, we tax you on the gas, we tax you on the car itself, we tax you on anything you buy for the car. And then they have the audacity to be like, oh, you want to legally drive your car? Yeah, you're going to have to fork up, buddy.
You're going to fork up, fuck boy.
And then even worse, it's like, any moment you can get pulled over for fucking nothing by the police.
Yeah.
And they can just ticket you. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it's justified. Like I've said before, I am all for ticketing people who are driving recklessly, dangerously, speeding too much, going too slow. But sometimes it's like, oh, we smelled weed as you drove by. Just a faint little bit of skunking. So we pulled you over, and oh, you're acting aggressive. We're going to need you to get out of the car, sir. You don't agree? You don't want to get out of the car? That's a threat. We have guns pulled on you now. You're going to get out of the car, and we're going to fine you for resisting arrest.
Either that, or you can just fucking die. Like,
what's the magic word I have to say to a cop to have them just shoot me right in the eye? Just right through the eye. Just
I have a gun.
All. Yeah. I have a gun and it's unregistered.
You won? Stop resisting.
I mean, I guess if I really wanted to improve my odds of getting shot, I could paint myself darker.
Jesus Christ.
But I feel that might be a little too much.
God damn. It's so horrible. Like, we're joking about it, but it's literally the worst thing on this earth. Because our literal brothers and sisters of this horrible earth that we live on are getting fucking murked by an unrestricted police force for literally nothing. I don't know if you saw like that guy. There was a video of this guy who was he's paraplegic, and he told the cops,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm a paraplegic. I cannot get in my car. Like, don't get me wrong, he did something wrong. Like, he had like drugs or something on him. I don't fucking know. I really don't care. But he was literally like, I'm a paraplegic. They just fucking pulled his ass out of the car. Like, you can't fucking do that. If he's a paraplegic, you need to wait for someone to bring his wheelchair or bring a medical professional to help safely get him in the car. You could hurt him. And so, don't get me wrong, I'm sure I don't think that what the stop was valid. Did he happen to also commit a crime? Maybe. I'm not really sure. I'm not really educated on it. But the bottom line is, them pulling him out of the car the way they did, completely unlawful, unconstitutional.
I fully agree. I think there is a line in the sand we have to draw, which prevents cops from overstepping their bounds. And don't get me wrong, I am fully on board with, not all cops are bad. I think the whole ACAB thing is a bit of an overreaction because there are plenty of good cops. Like I saw a great video the other day of a guy who was protesting on public property with a sign that said "fuck cops," "fuck police," yada yada, whatever. And this young cop tried to, arrest him, tried tasing him twice. And in the chase, he finally gets stopped by his supervisor, who's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm trying to arrest that guy." He's like, "Why? This is public property." He's like, "Well, now he's under arrest for resisting arrest." He's like, "But you couldn't put him under arrest in the first place because he's on public property. This is all protected by the First Amendment."
You're like, you can't arrest somebody for an all unlawful arrest. That's like saying, I don't know that you've committed a crime yet, but I think you will.
It's like I found out the other day. Did you know if you are within 100 miles of any national border or ocean in America, the Border Patrol is legally allowed to set up perimeters and what do they call them? Road stops, and they can literally violate your constitutional rights. It's called, some people call it the 100 mile anti-constitution zone. And it's like, okay, but why in North Carolina, and I'm inland, I am nowhere near the ocean. Why am I being targeted by the Border Patrol?
You're a threat.
And like the video I saw the other day, literally, they pull this guy over and they're like, "We suspect you of smuggling immigrants," because he happened to be driving through Southern California near the border. And he's like, "Okay, but you can't just suspect someone of smuggling immigrants. You have to have cause, lawful cause to pull them over. What is your justification?" And they say, we think you're smuggling. That is justification." He's like, "No, in no court of law would that hold up." Of course.
I was going to say, I'm sure this didn't end well, but go ahead.
Well, it ends better than you would expect, but that's not a high bar. So these motherfuckers, they're like, "We're going to hold you here for multiple hours unless you just get out of the car and cooperate." And he's like, "No, you legally cannot pull me out of my car without just cause and a warrant. If you have either one of those, then I will cooperate. But you have neither." So they keep telling him, "Oh, we think you're smuggling immigrants. That's enough cause," which it isn't. So they look in his passenger seat and they see he has CBD cigarettes.
Oh my God.
Fully legal in California. But they turn that into a cause. They say, "You can't have those. We're going to pull you out of the car now." He's like, "Again, you can't. CBD cigarettes are legal in California." And he's like, "Besides, you don't have a dog here. So the dog can't sniff my car to prove I have any drugs." Because as I found out, in most states, if a cop has no reason to arrest you, they cannot hold you until a dog arrives. You are free to go unless a dog is already present.
Yeah, I knew that actually. I mean, not that they follow that to begin with. They'll still hold you, but...
Yeah, no, they definitely will hold you. So they hold him, and they bring a dog down, and the dog's sniffing the car. The dog does not positive until the cop, controlling him, points at the window where the CBD cigarettes are located, which causes the dog to jump up, and he says, "All right, that's a positive."
What a fucking idiot, Jesus Christ.
Because, as I found out, an independent study found that 80% of positives in canines are false. Either they're caused by the officer intentionally false positing, or the dog is just false positing on something like food or something that smells vaguely like another drug.
Right.
So, of course, they pull the guy out of the car, they do this whole charade, and literally they put him in the back of a cop car, handcuffed, and tell him, you can either right now agree to unlock your phone so we can see the video you took of us, or we're going to hold you here for as long as we can.
Bro, that's literally unlawful holding. Like, that's unlawful imprisonment.
Oh, it is. And you know for a fact they were trying to delete the video he took of it all. So, of course, he declines, and they hold him for as long as they can before they are legally responsible to let them go. And at the end of the day, all they managed to do was rip up the CBD cigarettes and throw them into a ditch because, according to them, it's illegal, but not illegal enough to arrest him on. Ain't that some bullshit? That can happen to you literally in the middle of a coastal state.
That's literally, that's dog shit, dude. Good Lord. So this was the political segment of Controller C. Oh man, we have our opinions, man. That's some dog shit, bro. Let me tell you what.
I mean, this one's less political, but just fucking stupid. But like I found out today, in many states, if you have a pool in your backyard and you don't have a fence up that meets certain requirements, you're legally responsible for anyone who might stumble into it and drown.
No shit.
And it's like, first off, why? They're already breaking the law by trespassing. So why does them breaking the law to get onto my property mean I'm responsible for if they die? In most states, I could literally shoot the fucker and get away with it because of stand your ground laws.
Right. You're like, literally, I could cap the motherfucker, but if he falls in my pool,
heaven fucking forbid.
Jesus Christ. All right. So we've been talking here for, let's see how long we've been talking about politics. About 40 minutes. That's fine.
Oof.
So for the last little bit here, we'll talk about something different. Since the last time we had a podcast episode, we had, the Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City trailer came out, which me and Salsa both watched. Yeah, we both watched that. We actually broke down the pictures that we received of the set and whatnot. But if you've not seen the trailer yet, I thought it was pretty good. What did you think?
Well, I'll say it's leagues better than what we got with Mia Jovovich. But I think there are some things that need work. Like the CGI dogs looked really fucking goofy. The CGI Birkin looked pretty weird. I liked the CGI liquor. That was pretty spot on.
Or go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, I do think that, because they heavily imply in the trailer that the reason Claire is coming back to Raccoon City, instead of trying to find her brother, is because of some weird, what was it, a conspiracy that some guy years ago told her about?
Yeah, they kind of the narrative that they seem to be pushing is that Claire is back because, like you said, she is involved in some way, shape, or form with a conspiracy, specifically with someone who thinks that Umbrella was doing something.
And I'll tell you, what I fear most about that narrative is that it's leading me to believe what they're going to do is, in a good adaptation, what they should do is have the first half of the movie be about the stars in the Arclay mansion. And then the second half would be about the fall of Raccoon City. I worry that what they're going to do is have it play out simultaneously. They're going to have her coming to town already knowing about Umbrella. and that's going to cause Chris and Jill and all of them to go to the mansion, and then they're going to kind of do this weird side by side. And instead of going back to Raccoon City at the end, they're going to escape from the explosion or some dumb shit.
Right.
I worry because that would be a very bad way for this to play out. But I have hope because, like I said, everything else I'm liking. I dig Brad's new look. Claire, Jill, Leon, Chris definitely. Chris is spot on. That is literally the perfect person they chose to play Chris.
Yeah,
Though,
Robbie Amell was a good choice. I will say that for sure.
oh yeah, he's definitely got like that. It's the chin, I think.
He definitely looks like a young. He honestly he looks identical to the Chris Redfield from the Resident Evil 1 remake. He looks
Oh yeah.
identical to that. I actually started playing RE1 remake because this was coming out. But yeah, no, 100%. I to me, I think.
So far, I think that any problems I noticed could be fixed by, release dates. Like CGI needs a little touched up, but that's an easy fix. Things I'm pretty excited about was, the itchy tasty reference.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's from Resident Evil 1, isn't it? Like the remake.
Yes, I believe it was only in the oh, it might have been in the original too. But yeah, it's a direct callback to the original games, which I love. Anytime they make a direct reference to the games, that's one more point in the book for a good adaptation.
True. And what we've seen of Lisa Trevor is excellent as well. I think that Lisa Trevor will be a very eerie, like she'll be kind of. I feel like she'll be in the background for a good part of it, but she'll eventually be kind of like in the video game. She'll come forward and just be kind of like that eerie presence, and they'll probably have a showdown with her or something.
Perhaps. In the trailer, they show that scene of her, doing the whole hush face. So I think
Yeah,
that leads me to believe that, because realistically, in most good movies, there is a clear antagonist. And I think for the mansion section, it's going to be Lisa Trevor.
right.
And at the end, it'll be Wesker and the Tyrants. But I do think she's going to play a more significant role than she did in the games.
I think so too. I think honestly, I was thinking that maybe she'll be like one of the first infected. Like she's the reason why the mansion fell.
I don't know. I forget the reason the mansion fell in the games. They explain it in some document, I think, but
Yeah, I honestly I don't remember either. Was it a crimson? No, it wasn't a crimson. I don't know.
I
But
want to
yeah,
say the reason the infection spread was because it was like what they did in the movies, where someone intentionally released it into the air. I just can't remember who or why.
why not?
I can think of plenty of reasons why not. It's kind of, mean. Bit rude, isn't it?
Bit rude, isn't it?
But I'm hopeful. Lisa Trevor, Itchy Tasty, the Umbrella goons with their helmets and gas masks. It much better. I hated how in Resident Evil with Mia Jovovich, all the USS guys were literally just dudes in black hockey vests with like motorcycle helmets. That was so dumb. But we're finally getting a good portrayal of. We might even get to see Hunk, which I would be all for.
Yeah, I was just say, from what I could tell, I mean, you can see them there, but you don't really see exactly who they are, so it's kind of hard to say for sure. But I think we have a better opportunity, at least, to see potentially Hunk.
Yeah.
Um,
Plus, I'm kind of digging the guns. they feel very realistic instead of like it felt like in the Mia Jovovich movies, it was literally just they found some prop guns in a locker somewhere and like, all right, this will work.
I also feel like they're like it's more realistic to the respect of
They're like a
like
SWAT team.
right. Like I mean, realistically, you wouldn't expect like the Stars Alpha or Bravo unit to just show up in the middle of nowhere with such like hodgepodge weapons like in the video games. Like what Forrest had a rocket launcher or a grenade launcher for some reason. That wasn't like smoke grenades or anything. It was like fucking actual grenades.
Listen, man, if I'm in a hostage scenario, I want SWAT to show up with a fucking grenade launcher. Why not? You know?
But I mean, you know, and Barry's got like a 6 round Magnum, like a 457 Magnum, which it's like, why at that point? Like, there's no reason to have that. Like, you're not going to find any kind of ammo for that lying around. Like, you're more likely to find 9mm or maybe 40. I don't know. I'm getting too into it, but the point being is that like, I feel like they're being equipped with weapons that make sense at least.
Like, I see where they were going with the original games because it, it was less of a realistic portrayal of police than it was a highly stylized, you know, these are American police officers. They got revolvers and cool handguns and grenade launchers. Whereas the movie is definitely moving more towards
Oh no,
a
yeah,
they're a SWAT unit, so MP5 makes sense for the time period. Plus, the MP5 it fires 9mm, which means that it's compatible with any handgun ammo they find, and it's a highly customizable weapon, especially the versions we saw in the trailer, where it looked like I think it was Chris was using like a standard MP5 with a collapsible stock, and Jill was using like an MP5K with the shortened barrel, the small built-in foregrip, and all that. Point is, it looks good.
yeah.
I dig it. I think it definitely. I kind of worry because in the interview I read with Hans Christensen or whatever his name is, who's
Hans
directing the
Hans
movie.
Hans Christensen. Who the fuck is that?
I don't fucking know. It's either the director of the movie or it might be the guy who wrote the original version of Frozen before it became a Disney property. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I'm thinking the latter. It's Johannes Roberts.
Johannes Roberts, that's it. So Johann Sebastian Bach, he in an interview, he talked about how it was supposed to feel less like how in the Mia Jovovich movies, the zombies were so impersonal. They were just hordes. They weren't to be scared on their own. They were just fodder. He talked about how in his movie he wanted them to be a real villain to a horror movie, like Michael Myers, where just even a single one of them is something to shudder at. They're supposed to be invoke fear in your heart. I like that. But I saw in the trailer the scene from RPD where they're looking through the gates and there's like hundreds of them. And that kind of worries me that maybe he was just talking off the cuff, making shit up. But I'm reserving judgment. I hope he's right that we're gonna get real, genuine zombies that are terrifying. Like remember when we were kids, we played the original Resident Evil, and we got so scared by the zombie turning around.
I do. I remember that. I remember we wouldn't play it because of how afraid we were.
That's what I want. I want to see that zombie and literally feel my gut drop. Just ooh.
I want to feel like I shit my pants.
Oh, I have hope. It's I don't remember how long we have left to see the movie, but God, I can't wait now.
Yeah, I mean it's November. It's right when we'll both be together in the same town for Thanksgiving.
Ooh, and I will say something to add. Speaking of Resident Evil, Have you checked out that? I think it's Robert Kendo's Gun Shop on YouTube.
Yeah, I have them followed. I watch them occasionally.
Dude is amazing. I love his deep dives into not just the history of the guns, but how they differ from the real life counterparts. He recently did a multi-part series regarding the Samurai Edge, where he talked about Phase 1, Phase 2, Jill's custom. He's about to do, Chris, Wesker, Barry, I believe. But I would
I gotcha.
highly recommend to anyone who enjoys Resident Evil or guns, go check him out. Very good channel. Highly recommend.
I'll tag them down below because I'm all about helping other creators. Not in hopes that maybe they'll help me. Uh, no selfless deed, but no, yeah, I'll tag them below because they are a pretty good channel. I've watched a couple of their videos. I think I watched the one about the broken butterfly, which was pretty interesting.
Mm,
But
that's a good one. I think my favorite is, I don't know, it's a tough mix between, I really liked his video on the Red 9,
oh yeah, you showed me
but
that one, I think.
also, oh yeah, great video and a great gun. Come on. The Red 9 is a classic. I wish they put it in more of their games, to be honest.
DLC.
But I also really liked his video. He did two of them, I think, on guns that never showed up in Resident Evil but were supposed to. Like how originally in Resident Evil 5, Chris was supposed to have a 1911 instead of an M9.
I could almost see that a little bit. I could almost see that.
Well, it's based off of the first trailers they dropped. You might remember it's the ones that kind of got them the whole, oh, Resident Evil 5 is racist shtick.
Same.
But no, good videos. A lot of it really is like data mining or looking at material from unreleased stuff like Resident Evil 3.5, where
Oh
Leon is in the
yeah.
castle. I forget what gun he uses in that version of the game, but I don't know. Point is, good videos. Would highly recommend. Dude is like a savant for discovering all these things like, oh, well, if you look here, this M92F is actually using a Brigadier slide with, it's like, how would anyone ever know that without being like wild, insane? I can't imagine being that smart.
I was actually going to say, I don't know why, but it's reminding me of this. You said Resident Evil 3.5, but I don't know if you knew this, but there's like a group of people who have almost, if I remember correctly, they did complete it, or maybe they're almost completed, or they were really close, but they remade 1.5 with like Ezra Walker. Is that what her name was?
Oh yeah, Elza
Yeah,
Walker.
yeah, Elsa. Yeah, so they basically made like a whole thing. Basically made like a whole like PlayStation 1 era, remake of 1.5 with all like that. They also, there's some people who are working on Resident Evil 3.5, or it was like called like Shadow of Darkness or something like that. But there's like a demo out there that exists for that.
I mean, hey, I'm all for it. I do think at some point Capcom is going to come along and copyright strike the fuck out of them, but
Oh, for sure, for sure. But I mean, hey, until they do, let's have some fun, y'all.
exactly.
Man. But anyhow, also, I guess last thing that I'll talk about before we kind of close off here, because we've talked about a lot of politics, Resident Evil. Um, let's slip in some movie. Did you watch Halloween Kills?
I did. I did in fact watch it.
I've been trying to gauge because me and my wife, we for people out there who don't know, Salsa has met my wife. Obviously, we all are friendly and like we all like each other for the most part. So Salsa is very critical of movies, generally speaking. And so I was debating whether or not he would hate Halloween Kills and like just shit all over it, or if he would like, hey, that was actually not too bad. So I'm kind of in between. So we're about to find out. So what did you think there, Salsa?
Truth is, I can see why it's only rated at like 49% right now. There are some things in the movie that were kind of silly, like he shouldn't have survived the house fire. It's impossible unless they're going back into the whole supernatural thing, which is what killed the original series.
Right.
But like he shouldn't have survived that, but he did. Whatever. Moving past that, he took on all the firefighters because they're too dumb to attack him not one at a time. Kind of stupid. But I guess my biggest complaint is the whole movie they keep, and I guess we should say spoilers,
Yeah,
because some
spoilers.
of this is heavily spoiler. But point is, at many points in the movie, they keep implying he saw something out his window as a kid. We don't know if it was him, his own reflection or something else, because they never really give you a straight answer. We just know that whatever it is, it's so important that two characters have now died, technically three, standing where he stood, looking out that window. And it keeps coming back to the window. There's something there, but a good movie poses a question at the beginning, keeps asking it, and then answers it at the end. This movie did not do that. This movie said, fuck you. Maybe we'll tell you in the next movie, or maybe we'll forget and just pretend like the window thing never happened.
I don't think they're going to forget because
I hope not.
John Carpenter is notorious for, being kind of a stickler for details. So I have a good feeling that they won't forget it. But I did see some criticisms about it. Honestly, what this movie reminded me of, the movie, the first one, the Halloween from 2018, reminded me that, remember in the original Halloween movie, like, you have Halloween, you have the movie, and then Halloween 2 comes out like a couple years later. And then in the original, I should say, let me get back on track. So the original Halloween came out. And then like a few years later, the Halloween 2 came out, right? So Halloween 2 came out and like sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? It sort of exploded a little bit because it was still critically accepted, but it was a lot more violent. So I kind of anticipated that this movie would be more violent than the last one because following John Carpenter's sort of, Halloween trope, if you will, is that the sequel to the film is going to be more violent. So I thought to myself, okay, this one's going to be more violent, which it was. Halloween Kills was a much more violent movie, in my opinion, than Halloween, which I'm fine with. The violence makes sense. They're really trying to. And I don't know if they're going to go the supernatural route per se, but they are going to push the narrative that Michael Myers is an unnatural being of some kind, whether that's just because he's just filled with just rage or he's just an animal or whatever the case is. I don't know. I feel like they'll probably expound upon it a little bit in the next movie, which we won't get until next October, but they're going to
I
start. Yeah, go ahead.
I just there's no way they can avoid the supernatural thing anymore because he took in two movies that occur within the same night. He was shot in the shoulder by Laurie Strode, and then he was shot in the hand. Oh no, not no, yeah, it was Laurie. Then shot in the hand and lost three fingers to Laurie Strode. Then he gets in a fire that should have at least phased him to some degree. He was shot again by Laurie Strode's daughter. So he's taken three bullets, lost multiple digits, gets in a fire, somehow survives, which makes no sense. And then in the movie, he shot how many more times? I know for a
I,
fact he was shot 5 times in the end of the movie during that fight sequence.
I don't think it
And
was five.
stabbed.
I think a few of them missed. I think he only got shot 3 times, to be fair, because I
I
remember
don't
there
know.
being three
I would
specific
have
bullet holes.
I would have to go back and watch, but it definitely looked like every one of those bullets hit based on the blood splatter. But you might be
But
right.
but
Point is,
you're right though. I mean, he did get stabbed and he got beaten and everything else. Like it was a whole thing.
there's no way anyone could have survived that outside of supernaturals. Because think about it. Shot 3 times in the first movie, he would have lost a large chunk of blood. There's no way to avoid that, even if you use the whole adrenaline argument. The second movie, he's literally gets shot as many, if not more times, stabbed multiple times. He has no blood left in his body. There's no humanly way possible. Unless he's coagulating at a supernatural rate, in which case he should have died of a brain hemorrhage years ago.
Same.
Long story short is there's no way he should have made it out of that final fight sequence alive unless they're implying he is a supernatural creature, which again did not work well in the original movie series, the timeline, because the movies in which he was a supernatural entity kind of came across, poorly reviewed.
Really, there's only one movie where they explicitly say that he is supernatural, which was Curse of Michael Myers. The fourth and fifth movies, they don't outright say it, but they do allude to that there is a much deeper there's much deeper issues at hand than him just being a serial killer. But they didn't outright say it until the sixth movie, which was Curse of Michael Myers, where they talk about the mark or the Curse of Thorn, I think is what they call it. And it's like he has to like kill his bloodline or some shit like that. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've watched those.
So in the original timeline, it's Halloween 1, 2, 4, 5, Curse of Michael Myers, and the Chaos Comic Halloween series, which explicitly says that he is a creature of Thorn. In the H2O timeline, which is 1, 2, H2O, a bunch of books and comics, it is also heavily implied that he is supernatural as well, based on the final book in the series, which is Halloween, the Mark of Thorn, which is in the H2O timeline.
Right. But purely from a cinematic form, because don't get me wrong, like I know that the books and stuff are canon. Purely from a cinematic standpoint, people probably aren't really going to know much of that stuff. So you can
maybe not.
Because you have to think that a lot of people who they just watch the movies. Like I've read some of the books and comic books and stuff like that. So like obviously you and I may have an additional knowledge, but to kind of dumb it down to people, there are essentially like, I guess if you look at Michael Myers as a character, there are like 5 different timelines. You have like the Rob Zombie movies, which is its own thing altogether, if you want to count that as a timeline. There is the original timeline, which is like 1, 2,
4, 5,
4, 5,
Curse.
6. Yeah, 4, 5, 6, and 6 being Curse. You have one timeline that's like the anthology timeline, which is like Season of the Witch. Then you have the modern or the H2O timeline, which is 1, 2, H2O, and Resurrection. And then you have the new timeline, which is just 1 Halloween kills, and then Halloween ends once it comes out.
In total, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 timelines. The ones you mentioned, which are the 4 to 6 timeline, which is the original, H2O timeline, the remake timeline, the current canon timeline, which is Halloween 78, Halloween 18, and then Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. There's the Season of the Witch, which is its own continuity.
Yeah.
Then there's the youth novel timeline, which is 3 books, which are youth novels. And then technically speaking, the other 2 are the Dead by Daylight timeline, in which Michael Myers is canonically a member of the cult in the Dead by Daylight video game, and the Call of Duty timeline, in which he appeared in Ghosts, I believe.
That's fucking weird, but okay.
Yeah, it was real out there, but yeah, point is, if we're only looking at realistically, it's the original, H2O, remake, and then current. Those are the 4. We're not even going to talk about Season of the Witch.
Yeah, like don't run. Season Witch is a good movie. It's not a Halloween movie at this point. I mean, I get because I know John Carpenter was trying to go like the anthology route with trying to like make different movies. Because I love anthologies. I love anthology series, but Michael Myers was too much of an icon to basically throw him under the bus and then go back to just making a movie about that. So it is what it is, I suppose.
So
But
yeah,
yeah,
I guess to answer your main question is I enjoyed it, but I do think it is deserving of the criticisms it received.
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm one of those people that like I don't let me phrase this in the way it's in the best way possible because Salsa knows this about me. I enjoy horror movies and I enjoy movies, and I have a particular issue when people criticize movies because I feel like people are missing the point of watching movies, which is to enjoy yourself, and people are purposely finding things that they didn't enjoy or that they found that the movie was failing in. And I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of movie critics to begin with, but I would never personally put myself into a movie critic position. Like I like reviewing movies and I like criticizing them to an extent, but I feel like movie critics, their sole purpose in life is to either make or break a movie. And like, I hate that. I don't know why. It just always bothers me. It is what it is.
See, I simply think that there's a difference between cinema sins, where you point out things like overused tropes or dumbed down dialogue. There's a difference between that criticism and genuine criticism, like, does it make sense that Michael Myers does X or Y in this movie when canonically that is very uncharacteristic of him? At the end of the day, a fan of a franchise or a property is encouraged to be critical of it because they want the best possible version of that thing. But there are limits to that. I don't think that you should, in every single movie, watch it like a scientist watches an experiment and try to debunk it.
No, I agree. I mean, it's one thing to have criticisms again, but like, I think that sometimes people try and find answers where there doesn't need to be answers. Like, it's a horror movie. Michael Myers is not necessarily. I don't know. My main issue is that with this movie, the main criticism that people are giving it, they're like, "How did he survive?" You know what I mean? Like, how did he survive the fire? And this, that, and the other. And I just think it'll all make sense eventually. Like, we don't have all of the media in front of us yet. Once this next movie comes out, I feel like that'll be a good time to really reflect on the previous movies and see, did they come to fruition with what they should have done? You know what I mean? Did they do things correctly? And we'll see what happens. But who
We'll
knows?
definitely see.
I hope that they come full circle and they do it right. Because I mean, realistically, I mean the movies, I mean, I can't remember who's directing this next one, but like John Carpenter's like he signed off on the script and I think that they're starting filming in January. If I remember correctly. I could be wrong about that. But they were originally supposed to film these back to back from what I heard, but then obviously COVID happened and then they couldn't.
Yeah, that puts a damper on things.
Yes,
But
worldwide pandemic tends to do that.
I don't know. It is what it is. I'll wait to see the next movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna watch the next movie because my main issue at the end of this last one was they're going the supernatural route or they're going to have to explain it somehow, and hopefully they do it in the next movie. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. I guess we should probably wrap up then.
Yeah, and we probably should. We've been going for a while. But anyways, so anybody out there who is listening, today's episode was brought to you by your mom. No, I'm kidding. Thank you everybody out there who's listening, who's continued listening. If you haven't already, subscribe. I know that other YouTubers do this, so I'm gonna have to start doing this. We have analytics, which Salsa might get a kick out of this. We have wonderful analytics that teach us, hey, how are we reaching our fans and who's watching and everything else. And something I realized that the people who are watching us, 89% of people who watch us are not subscribed. So if you are not subscribed yet, you should be. So if you are part of the overwhelming majority of people who watch our stuff and you're not subscribed, I'm very, very upset with you. Please subscribe. Also, apparently, we have a 51% female viewer base, and most of our viewers are 18 to 34, which I probably could have guessed. But yeah,
It don't make much sense, but I don't know. I
yeah.
guess women just love conspiracies.
Apparently, they like conspiracy theories, which, hey man, who doesn't like a good conspiracy theory? But anyhow, everybody out there, like and subscribe. Follow us on social media. Join our Discord server. It'll be in the comments, or not the comments, fuck. The fucking description down below, goddamn. It'll be in the description down below. Follow the Discord, ask us questions, get prepared for the 400 subscribers video, which will most likely end up being our 500 subscribers video. We literally got another subscriber during this whole thing, so we're now up to 462 subscribers. And I'll just give a special shout out to the new subscriber, which is Ella Marie Gage. Thanks so much for that. Anyways, so if you want to ask us some questions, we'll include your questions in our 500 subscribers, 400 subscribers video. But please ask them because we want to get as many questions as possible because me and Salsa want to have a good time. In addition to that, join the Discord, ask questions on there. Salsa, go ahead and close us out.
Ooh, really didn't give me enough time to think of something clever to say, huh?
No, bro. You on the hot plate. You on the hot plate, boy. You better get it.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work because I am not clever. That is my secret.
That's my secret, Cap. I'm never clever.
No, ain't got much to say, but I will say, download Game Pass. $15 a month. Very good deal. I am not getting paid by Microsoft to shill this. I do not have a direct contact with Bill Gates. I can assure you that much. But Game Pass is very much worth it.